Hey, I'm Annemiek van Helsdingen and I'm delighted to be here with you in the Evolve Summit. And today we'll be talking about how you can start trusting your soul's voice and find your next steps no matter where you are on your journey. Now, I don't know about you, but I quite like life to be easy and straightforward. But unfortunately, when you get on this path, it is often anything but. It can be messy, it can be scary and overwhelming, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that we just don't know where we're heading. We don't have a map of the destination, right? We don't even have a map of the journey. We just start, and we start listening to that deep knowing inside of us. And we need to, in some ways, trust that that's going to lead to something that's going to work, that's going to make us happy and fulfilled, but also that's going to work out practically. Now, if that's you, if that's part of your journey, then you're in the right place. I'll be so happy to share an ancient recipe with you to help you live your unique purpose. And I'll also share a practice with you that you can do every day to help you connect in with that deepest knowing and to find your next steps so that you can keep on walking your path in trust. Now, does that sound good? Great, let me know in the comments, and any questions that you have along the way, I'd love to hear them. Now, if you're driving while you're listening to this, you may want to consider finding a parking place for the second half of our session today so that you can join in the practice that we're doing. Now, are you ready? Me too. So let's start at the beginning. Who's this, right? And why am I talking to you about all of this? Well, my name is Annemiek van Helsdingen, as I shared earlier, and I am the founder of the Academy for Soul-Based Coaching. Now, of course, there's a lot more to me than that, and it wasn't always like this either. So I want to take you with me into just a small snapshot of how I came to where I am today. And to give you an example of what a path like this could look like, and also to see how I've been learning about the things that I've learned and want to share with you today. So, as a child, I was curious, but I was also very confused a lot of the times because I could not quite make sense why people were doing what they were doing. It actually even took me a long time to figure out why I was confused because I just didn't have the words to express it. But really what was happening is that I was, highly sensitive and empath, pretty spiritually attuned. So I was picking up a lot of energy, a lot of information that nobody talked about and that didn't make sense with the way that people were acting. So I was on this quest to understand, so how come this is happening when you're saying this? And how come this is happening when you're both saying that? And, it led me to all sorts of explorations and friendships, but also in the choice for my studies at university, business management. Like, why the heck does our world work the way it does? And I was just in that curiosity and that wonder and that confusion a lot of the time. Now, that started to shift a little bit when I started to enter my first job, which was a management traineeship. But at the same time, I found a first energy healing course. Now, that made sense to me. Finally, I learned to be in my own body. I learned to distinguish about the boundaries between myself and the other things that I was feeling and picking up from other people. That was just amazing. And it finally, as I said, things started to make sense. But of course, I kept that hidden. I didn't really talk about that, especially not in my professional life. I may have shared with some dear friends here and there, but it was just for me. It was just for behind the scenes, and I was never going to be a healer and put that sign next to my door. And these tools that I learned, they kept me going for a while. But by the time I was 30, I hit a major burnout. As in major, it took me 3 years to kind of come back from it. Now, of course, you may know this, burnouts are big spirit medicine as well. So it's taught me so much about how I was giving away my energy, how I was always trying to please and fit in, and how I was not listening to what I knew to be true. So, of course, by healing from that burnout and doing the work that came from that, I decided to leave my corporate job, which was nice and cushy and lots of money coming in, and started for myself as an executive coach and a corporate change facilitator. But also my 10-year relationship just kind of crumbled and fell to pieces. So in a lot of ways, I was starting over at 30. Well, was it 32? And, bit by bit, piece by piece, I found my groove again. And if you would have asked me, what was it, 12 years ago, I would have told you, I was right, right in my element. I was like a fish in water. I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. And to a large degree, that was true. But there was just one huge chunk missing that had everything to do with me as a spiritual being. Now, I kept doing that until 8 years ago, when, again, my health gave me a major kick up the you-know-what. And with autoimmune issues presenting themselves, I had to withdraw from that life. I had to let go of that company, my colleagues. I had to let go of everything that I thought I was. And that was not easy. That was not easy at all. I had to basically let go of all the ideas I had about myself as, a professional career woman, or as a woman who was on top of things and who made things happen even if, life wasn't supporting her. It was really difficult to step back from all of that and to go back to, so, but who am I? And what am I here to do? Because even though, with the little bits of energy that I had left, walking up the stairs was a real issue. I just couldn't let go of the thought, there's something wrong with me physically and I need to figure out what it is, because conventional medicine wasn't ready to find it at that moment. And B, I just felt this incredible urge to be of service, to contribute to this world. I was not ready to sit, behind the windowsill and kind of look at life passing by. I had this real need and urge to contribute and to earn my own money. One of the teachings from my youth as a woman, you should always be able to earn your own money. Now, that was why soul-based coaching is alive and kicking today. If my health hadn't helped me, I would never have had the courage to start looking at the piece that was missing. Now, what happened was that as I felt the need and the urge to do something, I started looking at how can I bring that online so that, it takes out a lot of the traveling and all of the other kind of padding along the edges. How can I bring this online and make it completely aligned with who I am and what I have to offer? And that second part came from my health, because if I stayed really close to how I needed things to be, how I longed for things to be, how I wanted things to be, then I found that I could do some things every day. If I strayed from that, and if I went into, well, it's supposed to be like this, or people will want this, or, it's more safe to do it like that, I very quickly got the, that's not going to work. And I just, my energy would crumble, or I'd get another flare up. So Spirit was really helpful in helping me stay closer. And that is how an amazing life has unfolded now, and I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. And I'll tell more about it as we go through the teachings that I want to share with you. You can probably tell that going through all of that was not easy. And I think you might be able to relate to that. I would love to hear about that in the comments. Are you, or have you been having similar experiences where it's not always easy, and sometimes it's actually really hard and rough and a lot of letting go? And I'm asking you to share because it's so good to know that you're not the only one when you're in that part of the journey. And you know, that part can circle back at times when it's time for a new round of deepening and connecting with yourself. So definitely share with us if you've had similar experiences or if you're in there right now. Now, part of the reason why it wasn't easy for me, looking back, was because I was fighting it. I was fighting it hand, tooth and nail. I didn't want to let go, and I was trying to hold on so hard. And it wasn't until I got to learn the teachings that I want to share with you today that things started to be easier, because I was lacking this understanding about what was happening. I didn't know how to interpret what was going on. And these teachings have really given me a lot of sanity and help and direction as I was going through this phase. Now I want to credit my teacher, Shamli Yarda from Awakening Women Institute, because she was the one who introduced me to these teachings. And the teachings themselves have been around for thousands of years. They are part of the Bhagavad Gita, which is a Hindu scripture where Krishna teaches as a personification of God. And that map, that story, that is incredibly rich for us today. You know, the relevance of it hasn't diminished one bit. So that's what I want to share with you. The story starts by Prince Arjuna, who finds himself on the battlefield. And he is filled with doubt and overwhelm because he realizes that the war that is about to start, what it asks him to do is to fight his friends, his family, his teachers. And he does not really want to do that. So in his doubt and despair, he turns to his charioteer, Krishna, who is also the guide on the battlefield for the soldiers in that time. And he asks him for guidance. And he does get 4 incredibly powerful teachings. The first thing that he shared was, it's time to face your Dharma. Now, Dharma is a word that we hear more and more. It's both used in Hindu and Buddhist practices and scriptures. Shamli likens it to this unique thread of you that is weaving itself into the tapestry of life. So unique, your own qualities, your own essence, and never separate from anything else. I also like to think about it as your essence, that which you are here to be, and therefore also to express in action. Now, facing your Dharma means that you look it in the eye, that you stop closing your eyes, ignoring it, turning your back, like I've done for such a long time. You know, ever since that first energy healing course, which was at least 20 years ago, I passed up on so many opportunities to be facilitating groups or assisting in groups or taking that spot of the priestess that I now know and have claimed to be. I ran away from it for such a long time because it was too scary. I did not know what I would get myself into. And I knew this for a very long time. It was in the back of my mind. It was in the back of my system. So facing my Dharma meant, okay, I am here to also live the spiritual me. And it needs to be so included in my life that it also needs to be included in what I offer in this world, in my work. And that was me facing my Dharma. So I didn't know what it was going to look like. I didn't know what it would ask me to do. It was just about, okay, this is it. And, Krishna also said, not acting is acting too. So ignoring is also a choice that you're making. And one last bit of teachings of the story is that he also said that it's actually better to fail living your own Dharma than it is to succeed copying someone else's, because that just leads to more plastic in the world. That's not real. So this is the point where I'm going to just ask you, have you faced your Dharma yet? Do you know what it's about? So in the worksheet that is going with this session, there's some questions around this that you can use to journal. And if you know, brilliant, beautiful. If you don't know, just use the words that you have. Use the bits, the starting points for your exploration. And that will bring you to your answer. Now the second teaching was that Krishna said, step in with 2 feet. Commit to your Dharma. And in a way, you can think of your Dharma as this river that is flowing very close to you because it can't be very far away. It's your Dharma. But, what I was doing for a long time was just turning my back to that river. It was just flowing and flowing and it was inviting me. I was just not paying attention to it. And it can be tempting to just dip your toe in, just have a look and kind of go, oh, that's interesting, and just stay on the riverbank. But committing to your Dharma means that you step in, that you step in fully, and that you take the risk of not knowing where that river is going to take you, how it's going to unfold. Now, stepping into the river and committing does not mean that you have to quit your job or leave your relationship. It doesn't have to be something big. It's more that you start to attune yourself to this frequency of knowing of what it is that you really are here for, what your essence wants to be and do right now. It can be really scary, but I can tell you, it is so worth it. There is an inherent integrity and nourishment, and this is when life is good, when you're committed to that. And I'll tell more about why it feels so good. I just want to say one more thing about commitment before I ask you to check. Have you done this yet? Or are you ready to? This commitment is a lot like the way that parents commit to their children. As a parent, I know this, it's not always easy. It often drives me to the edges of my abilities and what I have space for in any given moment. But at the same time, I love my daughter with everything I have, and I would go through the fire for her no matter what. So when I commit to my Dharma like that, it's not about what specifically happens practically right now or next week or tomorrow. It is about, I am here for the long run. I am here to honor myself. I'm here to honor that deepest knowing in me, because that is where we find our medicine. This is where your contribution, your unique contribution to this world is found. And you only get to be with that when you stay present to yourself, to that deepest knowing, and start to explore, what does that mean when I go through today? What does that mean? But it starts with that question of, am I ready to commit? So, if you feel you have, or if you feel you're ready right now, give us a yes in the comments. And if you're not quite sure yet, this is a great area to journal about as well. And again, there's a prompt for that on your worksheet. Now, when you've committed to your Dharma, another really important teaching is to let go of the fruit. Now, what that means is basically to hand this over to that which is bigger than you. For me, this is Goddess. It could be God, it could be the universe, it could be love, it could be whatever that is for you, who you pray to. Hand it over to that which is bigger than you. There's a couple of reasons for this. One is that it will help you get out of that little me story. Like, oh, I have to succeed. I have to make this happen. When we hand over the fruits, we look at the fact that actually us committing and us staying in that relationship with our Dharma is much more important than what it looks like on the outside, right? We're so conditioned to look for success and to look at the world out there to see how well we are doing. So, it could be money that you're making, or it could be this project that you've built. But the success, the inherent success of living your Dharma is in staying true and being true to yourself. As I said earlier, there is a sense of fulfillment that comes from that money can never buy you. Now, of course, it helps for me to say this now that the Academy for Soul-Based Coaching is actually running really well. It's a successful soul-based business, but it wasn't always that. And, even though I doubted many steps on the way and I didn't know how things would turn out or how I could make it work, there was an inherent sense of validation and being right, not about right or wrong, but as in being aligned, that made it all worthwhile. And the external success, that is a byproduct from me staying committed, staying in relationship, keep on taking the next step. Now, I know that I was very prone to worrying and at that stage when things were very unformed yet. And so I would worry about, would it work? Would I be good enough? Is this the right thing to do? Will this get people to see the Academy or soul-based coaching? And you know what? I learned that worrying about the future, even though it seemed like the sensible thing to do for some reason, because then you can, mitigate the consequences or whatever. But actually, when you worry about the future, what you're doing is taking away the energy that you need to create that future. So bring your energy into your commitment, into taking your steps, and offer the fruits to that which is bigger than you. Let go of the fruits. Now, as you're listening to this, you may feel something shifting inside of you, because this is a very different paradigm to look at our way of being in the world. I would love to hear how that lands in you and what questions it raises. And then we'll go over to the fourth teaching. And that fourth teaching is about keep your eyes on me. That's what Krishna said. Keep your eyes on me. Keep your eyes on that which is bigger than you. And this is the piece where I could see so clearly about how a lot of my struggles were about the little me, right? Little Annemiek, who was trying to make things work, who was trying to make her mark in the world, who was trying to find a solution for the really, practical mess that I found myself in. But when I keep my eyes on the divine, what happens for me is that I see that all I do is in service of that which is bigger than me. And whether something works today or doesn't work, it actually doesn't matter, because it's one other part in that service of the greater thing that is happening. And I know you know this, that we're in this time where there's a big rise of the feminine energy, the sacred feminine energy. And all of us here, we're part of that. So if what I've done today doesn't work out, it's just, okay, it didn't work out. How else could I do this? Or what else is asked of me? Nothing more and nothing less, right? So when you keep your eyes on the divine, it means that you can let go of all of that flurry and messiness and emotional attachment that you can have to this. And just see that you are part of the feminine rising. The feminine rising is you. It is through you, and you are making it happen. And she is supporting you every step of the way. We're all supporting each other. You do not need to do this alone. When you keep your eye on the divine, whatever that is for you, you do not have to do this alone. And you can rest knowing that you're on track. You're fully on track. And things will start to unfold. Now, keeping your eye on the divine, I would love to hear from you about how that could practically work for you. What could that look like for you? There are lots of ways that people bring this into their lives. It could be, a little altar to remind yourself. It could be a practice where you literally, physically hand over, energetically what you've been doing that day and offer it to the divine. child pose is a beautiful way of surrendering yourself to the divine and being of service. You know, a great prayer that I've been using on my road, on my path for a long time was the I'm here, I'm willing, please use me. Goddess was that prayer for me. You don't have to know where it's going to go, even though I know that is strange and scary. It's almost countercultural, because, you know, we're used from the masculine paradigm. We're used to setting our goal, making that happen, dividing up the steps that you need to get there. But you know what? This is not that. We are diving into the feminine paradigm here so that we can use both our masculine qualities and our feminine qualities, because it's not about men and women. But the really important thing to understand here is that your soul's knowing, it doesn't really live in your mind, right? Our minds are used to running the show, all these monkey thoughts and all these conditionings that we've had, culturally speaking. Our deepest wisdom, our soul wisdom, mostly comes through our bodies. So it requires us to feel and to be with that, and to allow it to start opening up this channel of really aligned information. And this is where the practice comes in that I want to share with you. Because, well, maybe you meditate, and that's great. But for a lot of us, what happens is that when we turn our awareness into ourselves, we come across a whole lot of messiness. You know, thoughts, leftover emotions, patterns of acting, ways of looking at the world, beliefs, you know, you name it. Like it's a little bit like, you know, if your awareness was this pond, there's a lot of stuff floating on the surface. And our deeper wisdom, our soul knowing, comes from underneath that. That actually comes from through that pond up. So what we need to do is we need to clear our channel, right? We need to make sure that all of that everyday stuff is not there to diffuse the message or to distract us. So it's really great to have some spiritual hygiene and start your days with a practice that works for you. And it can be, you know, it can be meditation, it can be dance. I love 5 rhythms dance. I also love walking in the forest. Some people like to draw. Whatever floats your boat, whatever helps you clear your channel and connect in with yourself. But I'm also going to share a practice with you right here, right now, so that you can start to clear your channel and tap into that deeper knowing. Because that deeper knowing, that is the part that has the answers to, okay, I'm here, I have committed, I am here to be of service to my Dharma. What is my next step, right? So all the teachings I've been giving you, they've kept me sane, they've given me direction, they've given me this perspective to make sense of what was happening for me. But then this practice made it practical and real. So, are you ready to dive in? Now this is the time to stop your car or just, you know, put aside any distractions that might be going on for you. And we're going to do a little guided meditation exercise. So when you're ready, here we go. Take a moment to sit comfortably, and if you can, with your spine straight, and close your eyes. And then start noticing your breath. There's no need to change anything. Just notice the pace of your breath. And notice where it touches you on the inside. watch your breath as if you're on the shore watching the gentle waves lap onto the sand. As you keep doing that, you can also start to notice where your feet, your bottom, maybe your back as well, are touching your seat. And notice where you are supported by the earth. And notice your physical body as it's sitting here right now. And your breath flowing through. And then bring your attention to your feet. And start filling up your feet with this golden honey-like energy of your awareness. Fill up every toe and the feet itself and your ankles. And then start pouring that honey-like awareness into your lower legs as well. So from your ankles up to your knees, completely filling them with your presence. And then further up, all the way to your pelvis and your pelvic bowl. And taking the time to infuse every part of your pelvic bowl and all the organs that are there with your golden awareness, your golden honey. And just keep breathing. And filling up your womb and all the other organs in your belly and the base of your spine. And going up as well, including your spine and also your solar plexus, your heart, your lungs, your breasts, beautiful breasts, and going up and up, filling everything up with that honey of your presence. And then as you reach your arms, you can feel it starting to drip over into your fingertips. All the way down, so including your fingers and your hands and your arms, until everything is included, and just include your shoulders too if you didn't have that yet. And then moving on to the throat and your neck. Infusing yourself with that honey. And then continuing into your head, including your mouth, your ears, your eyes, your nose, your brain, everything. All the way up to your third eye and your crown And when everything is included, stay here for a while, feeling all of you right here, right now. As your breath keeps on moving. And then just notice if there is a part of you that is asking for your attention. Maybe there's an ache or a tension, or there's a really happy feeling or thought. Notice where that part of you is. Even if it's a thought, just notice where you feel it, where you are aware of it. And notice the physical sensation of this part of you. Is it contracted or expanded? Is it warm or cold? Does it have pressure or does it have tingling? Notice what it feels like physically without going into a story about it. And as you're feeling into it and noticing where it is in you, you can give it a name. And then you can kiss it on the inside. A gentle kiss that says, I see you, you're part of me at the moment. And then you let this part go and bring your attention back to all of you and your breath. And then one more time, just notice if there's a part of you that is asking for your attention. And again, feel into where that is exactly. And start noticing the physical sensations of that. And as you're connecting with it like this, you can give it a name. And again, gently kiss it. And then you let go and bring your focus back to all of you. Feeling yourself completely in this moment. And then ask yourself, what would I like to have happen? And just listen to what comes up. What would I like to have happen? And this is a time to listen only and receive what comes. What would I like to have happen today? What would I like to have happen today? And that's like what? And is there anything else about that? And is there anything else about that? And what support can I give myself? And just take another moment to sit with yourself fully. And notice if anything else wants to come through for you right now. And as you ready yourself to open your eyes, just think for a moment if there is any notes that you want to make. So what was that like for you? Tell us in the comments. Well, I want you to know that sometimes your deepest knowing comes through in the form of beautiful, brilliant, complete divine downloads of a thing that you're now going to bring into the world, using your masculine and your feminine qualities. And sometimes that divine guidance comes through in the form of, let's make a cup of tea. And for me, it's been one of the hardest things to see that the cup of tea guidance is as important as are the brilliant downloads. That cup of tea is exactly what you'll need if that comes through right now. It may spark, making the tea may spark an idea that creates this Facebook post that just, brings you 2 months of income. A real example. Or it may lead to another inspired action, which leads to another inspired action. And that chain will bring you what it is that you're creating in the river of your Dharma. And now remember, it's not just up to you, because you are co-creating with life itself. And life wants nothing more than your unique medicine to become part of the collective cooking pot. Because that's how we are creating change right now. That's how the feminine can rise. It is also how we change the way that we are in the world, our relationships. And this is how we start to change our world. Because, we all know it could do with some changing here and there. And this is also why I'm so happy that you're here as part of this community. Because really, you do not want to do this alone. You want to be in a community with people that share your values, that know about what it's like to be on this path, that will support you no matter what happens, and will cheer you on and celebrate you and be happy for you. This Evolve community is amazing for that, and it's so good to find your own spaces where you find that support. Now, if you would like to continue to explore your specific path, I have a few openings each year for private coaching clients, and if you would like to explore that with me, I'd love to hear a message from you. On the other hand, if you feel called to help other people make changes that are aligned to them, then you might want to consider becoming a certified soul-based coach. We have an amazing community of people around the world, and they're all part of this coach training, which is online, it's live, it is super intimate, and it goes so much deeper than what anyone ever expects. And it's a beautiful way to learn how to be a midwife for clients and the changes that they want to make in their lives. The changes in themselves, the changes in their practical lives. We have a new group starting in January, and enrollment will start pretty soon. So if you'd like to know more, the easiest thing to do is to just book a chat with me on our website. We'll drop the link in the comments, and I'd be happy to answer any of your questions and give you some pointers as to where you can find out more about the way that we work. I'm so excited that you're here. I'm so excited that you are on your path to sharing your medicine with this world. I can't wait to see how that will evolve. Now, you may also want to check out the Embrace Yin course that is in the All Access offering for the summit, which is a beautiful, sumptuous, nourishing way to help you live more and more of you every day. Because there is really nothing more nourishing, nothing more fulfilling than following that river of your Dharma. Definitely come find me on Facebook and share what happens on your journey, because we're all here as part of that same movement. And we are so happy to cheer you on. Have a beautiful, beautiful exploration.